let's get going. So what were you looking for?
I was just checking. I saw you had a phone call coming through. So I was like, where is my phone? Is it on silent? I think it is.
I don't think anybody really needs me today. To start off with, Rob, thank you very much for inviting me to your famous studio.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming down. And yeah, how does it look from an outsider coming in?
I mean,
I'm always curious to see, because people think, oh, it's much smaller than I thought or much bigger than I thought, some people say.
I mean, like, don't show anybody back there.
It's a disaster zone, isn't it, back there?
No, honestly, it's not as shocking as I thought it might be.
Cheers.
Because the reason why is who can keep a workshop area this pristine?
Yeah, but the secret is just I don't use any of the tools or anything. It's just for show.
You've never lifted a spanner in your life,
all
have
of
you?
these, they're not even real. They're fake park tool tools.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? It does. I do use it a lot, and I just like have a blitz tidy up every now and again and just try and reset it all. I actually have a picture on my phone of how it looked when I first did it. And that's how I work out where all the tools go back on the wall and how it looks. Because otherwise, I've just got nails on the wall where all the tools go.
When you're building your bikes, you don't just go on Fiverr and just get somebody else to build the bike for you for like 50 quid.
I mean, that's a good idea, to be honest with you. 50 quid, I'd just do a bolt check when it arrives. That would save a lot of time. So if anyone's out there that can do it for 50 quid, and I'll just take all the glory on the video.
There you go. Job for somebody. So this is supposedly the Christmas special. I mean, I see that you've made a lot of effort for it.
I mean, it's almost a Christmas colour, isn't it?
Yes.
And I've got the Christmas coloured lights.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it ticks the Christmas box.
I've got my Star Wars inspired Christmas jumper.
That's nice.
Thank you.
It's not too like in your face either, is it?
Too garish.
No. Some of them are kind of red and white with like glitter and everything on them. So
this is going out on Christmas Day, so there's definitely somebody wearing a red and white jumper with glitter over it right now, and you've just offended them very much.
That's all right. Well, Merry Christmas and thanks for your time on Christmas Day if anyone's watching. And
yes.
They're probably slightly drunk by now, so
I hope so.
Who cares?
And this is going out at 8:30 in the morning, so no, I don't know.
Before you've even opened the presents.
I know this could be your first present.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it can only go up from there. Now let's start with firstly your channel statistics for 2023. I know you put a little story out a few days ago, and it's insane the growth that you've had this year. Is more than doubled this year.
Cheers, mate.
The followers.
I didn't ask you in to talk about my channel.
No, I'm going to get off it quick. Don't worry. I just wanted to get this out of the way because it's insane.
Yeah, it's been beyond what I would have expected, to be honest with you. I think, I don't know, it was like 190 million people have watched something on my channel, my YouTube, in the last year, which is, it's beyond my expectations massively, to be honest with you. And that's across all types of content. So like the long videos, the short videos, the little reel kind of things. But it's cool, man. It's good to see that there's massive audiences for e-bikes out there and people are still interested.
Yeah.
People are really interested in watching it. So yeah, massive thanks to anyone that's watched and commented and shared and all that stuff. So yeah.
I think, if anything, it's a good indication of showing just where the e-bike industry is heading right now, because that growth, I'm sure, is partly down to your hard work and obviously the great content you're putting out on a regular basis. But it's clearly evident that this industry is booming, and despite the troubles that the industry is perhaps having behind the scenes.
It's massively accelerating every year, isn't it? It just seems to be every month there's something new out, and that's really good to work with on a channel because people like seeing new stuff, new bits of tech, new bikes, new motors, all that kind of stuff. But even now, it's software updates for bikes can be a really big feature. So when Bosch announced mapping, that was quite a big deal because now your bike becomes a tool that you can go and explore with and you can navigate to. So even that can form some kind of content for a video. I just remember when I first started making videos in like 2018, there was, one bike manufacturer that was doing some really good stuff and then the others caught up. And now everyone is doing some really great stuff. So it just seems there's, for creating content, there's always new product and new things that are out, which makes my life easier.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned firmware updates. Did you see in the news that BBC News did this sort of scare story on Tesla, and they just said that every single Tesla from 2015 till now needs to be recalled. It was just an over-the-air software update they needed to do.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? It's like your phone. If there's an error with your phone, it just gets patched, doesn't it? There's a software update that comes through.
Yeah.
You wouldn't recall 1.6 billion iPhones or however many there are that are out there.
Yeah.
You just patch it with a software update. So yeah, that's I think I had that update. I think it came through, and
Really?
I didn't even know that it was. It does it without you knowing, and it just says software update, and you click yes, and that's it. And takes 10 seconds of your thought throughout the day. So it was definitely sensationalized by media outlets.
Your 2023 has been pretty stratospheric, and in terms of a numbers perspective. What have been some of the standout moments of this year for you in the world of bikes, personally?
Okay, so when I went to Eurobike, that was pretty cool, seeing all the new tech. Every Eurobike is always interesting because you get wild and wonderful different bikes and pieces of tech from companies all over the world. But I think one of the standout things for me in terms of like moving the industry forward and generating content was the Pinion MGU. That motor gearbox unit had so much interest, and it was so cool to see that being released and get a test ride on it at Eurobike. And it's one of those concepts that people already want. You know, it's with most pieces of bike marketing, they are selling a concept or selling an idea, and people watch it and they go, "Oh yeah, that sounds really cool. I'd like to have a go at that." Yeah. But the MGU is something that pretty much sells itself. What, a motor and a gearbox all in one unit? Yeah. What, I don't have a chain or don't have to
rear mech?
Yeah, don't have a rear mech that I can damage. Yeah. So that I think was a real standout. Yeah, that was super interesting, and loads of people watch the video and loads of people want to try that bike. So yeah, that was one standout.
Yeah, and it's clear to see that in terms of innovation in the industry, I mean that is one very big step that the industry could and is taking. And okay, it might not be perfect right now, but it's something which once they get their head around it and really get it refined, there's no reason why it shouldn't take over and become the industry standard. Would you agree?
Well, I think that it's super interesting because if you look across the motor manufacturers, you've got some that are tied into bigger ecosystems. So Shimano, for example, they have their motor, but they also have a massive drivetrain business. The same with SRAM, they've just bought out their motor, but they have a drivetrain business as well. But Pinion don't. So they don't care if they cannibalize a drivetrain because their product is just a motor and gearbox. I was thinking, well, that exists for like Bosch. They don't have a drivetrain, so surely there's a massive incentive for them to create a motor and gearbox unit.
Yeah.
And the same with Bafang, that type of company, TQ, some of the motor manufacturers, they surely have a massive incentive to build these all-in-one units. And I think that the first company that brings something out that is ready for prime time, and I've not really tested the Pinion MGU across like a proper trail ride. I tested it in a car park, which you can't really, it's a car park ride. Yeah. So it needs to be tested fully. But I think the first company that brings something out that is fairly efficient, pretty lightweight, but really high performing, they're going to have a massive game changer on their hands because people already want it.
Yeah. So this year, there have been a lot of new bikes that have come out. You've got your hands on a good handful of them. So let's start with the best full-fat e-bike of 2023.
Straight in there. The best. It's really difficult to get to best because it is so individual. So my best will probably be different to your best. So when we're talking about best, maybe I'll phrase it as my favorite.
Here comes a diplomatic answer.
Well, no, it's not diplomatic, but I don't think there is a best, honestly, because they're all really good. They've all gotten so, I can see you laughing. You're like, here comes. Because it is so difficult. But if I was to choose one bike, So my best, the bike that I really like the Bosch motor. I think we last chatted about motors on the past podcast. And I like long travel. I like enduro geo, like long bikes, big bikes. So my favorite bike of 2023, the one that I would choose to own, would be the Crestline RS 7550 EB. And the reasons are it's got a Bosch motor. It's 180 fork, 175 rear. There's loads of customization that you can do on the bike. I would say it's like an enthusiast's bike as well, because you can change the head angle with these adjustment headsets. You can change the reach, coil shock, regular air shock. You can even run different travel configurations on the rear. So you can run it from a 175 to a 160 to a 155. You can run it mullet, 29er. You can change the linkage. You can make it longer out the rear or shorter out the rear. So, and I'm a tinkerer. I like messing around with bikes. I think I'm always trying to think, I'm always seeking that improvement in my riding. And I think that if the bike can help me somewhat, then I'll give it a go.
Now, something you told me a while ago, and I don't know if you're happy to share it, I can always cut this bit out, was that Crestline actually approached you before they built their e-bike. What was it that they approached you about, and what was the advice that you gave them? And have you now seen that materialize in the actual bike itself?
Yeah, they actually they contacted me about 2 years before the bike was released, and I do get a lot of companies contact me for similar kind of thing, just want to do some industry research, whether it's on email or video call. And I always like to, chat e-bikes and help out. So a couple of years ago, I spoke to the founders of the company, and they were like, right, we're going to bring out an e-bike. What are your thoughts on motor? What are your thoughts on... So it was really cool to have that conversation with them. And to be honest with you, I'd forgotten all about it. And then like 2 years later, they messaged me saying, hey, we spoke like all that time ago. We've got an e-bike now. And I was like, oh, sick. Let's have a look. But I think they'd probably made a lot of the decisions already. And some of that was just validation, or some of it was just trying to reach out to future contacts. And I don't know. I can't remember the specifics of that call because it was such a long time ago. But I do remember we talked about like motor system and battery. I think those were some key things that at that time they were trying to nail down which brand that they were going to go with as a motor manufacturer. And it is difficult for bike companies because I made a video recently and I said that if you make a choice and you choose a system that's not quite in favor, there's a big risk that you've got a product that's got a motor that people, rightly or wrongly, don't want to buy. So it's quite a bit of a leap of faith, I think, for some companies, especially if you're starting a new bike brand. It's not, I don't think it's cheap to buy molds and get all your tooling done and invest in all these products. So yeah, it was a big leap for them, but it was really cool to see the bike. And honestly, for a first bike, man, they've nailed it. It handles, it's so good. It's brilliant, man. I love it.
And am I right in thinking that for a brand to order in Bosch motors, they need to order quite a large number when compared to some of the other motor manufacturers?
I think so. I don't know the details, to be honest with you, but it would not surprise me if they have a minimum order quantity of, I'm pulling this number out, 1,000 at least, 1,000 units. So yeah, there's economies of scale and shipping units in bulk. It's just much easier. So yeah. I think that's the case. Bosch's minimum order quantity is likely higher than Shimano's. Yeah. And I actually think I was speaking to a brand at some point and they said we would have liked the Bosch motor, but we had to order 2,000 or something like that. So we went with a different brand. So
we've done best full fat e-bike. I suppose we need to move on to semi-skim.
Can I add a couple more into that?
Oh, by the way? Okay.
A couple more that are very, very close.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
And the reason I do this is because the Crestline's really expensive.
Yeah.
So once you hit a certain price threshold...
this is our best budget e-bike segment.
What, we're moving on to best budget?
We're going to get onto that, yeah. We can do it now.
They're not even budget, to be honest with you. It's a Poly Voima and the Canyons drive on.
Yeah.
They're similar in build, they're similar in motor and geometry. There are some differences, but they're bikes that I love to ride as well.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's some 3 incredible choices there, and 3 bikes that I would love to get my hands on at some point. So, right, that's full fat covered. Lightweight e-bike. What, in your opinion, what is the best lightweight e-bike of 2023?
In my opinion, I really enjoy the bike that came out that had quite a few changes this year, and that was the Levo SL. The Levo SL, they changed basically the entire bike. So the frame, the geometry, more powerful motor, and similar to the Crestline, really. You could run 2929 or mullet. There's flip chip in it, so you can run higher BB, lower BB. You can adjust the head angle. So they made quite a lot of changes with that bike. So that, I think, was a really decent product that they brought out. They did something similar with the Kenevo SL, but they only changed the motor, so I was less impressed with that. But as an overall system, I think that specialised with that Levo SL, and it looks sick, doesn't it? It looks such an amazing bike. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Great choice. And now, as we briefly touched on, what was the best budget e-bike of 2023?
The Vitus, without a doubt.
Yeah, e-Mythique.
Yeah, e-Mythique. It's you can get it under $3,000. I've got to add that Vitus are in a position at the moment, like Chain Reaction Cycles, their parent company, that who knows what's going to happen to them over the next few months. So I've been quite hesitant to recommend that as much, because worst case scenario, the company is dissolved and the warranty is, I don't know, there's questions over warranty and things. But if we're just talking about the bike itself, it is such a competent package at an incredible price.
Yeah.
So that is the benchmark to me. It's the benchmark entry level price. And, you know, if we look at that at, let's say it was $3,000, I can't remember the exact price.
Well, when the offer was on,
yeah, I think it actually went down to 2,799.
Mad. Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's a Crestline that's £10,000 more. There is differences, obviously, in many different areas, but when you're talking about just going out and having fun, like there's not, you can still have a great ride on that much cheaper Vitus bike. So
when you spoke about having that car park ride, and I had a quick go on the one that you had in your car park, and I couldn't believe the power from that Bafang motor. They're so grunty. How does that translate on the trail? Yeah, it is. It's a little bit more like crude, the power delivery. It's not quite as smooth and refined as the Bosch, and like the overrun's quite aggressive on it. But yeah, I think all things considered, it's a solid e-bike. Like great geometry, good motor system. Heavy, but doesn't bother me so much. No. I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. Best bit of tech from 2023. Tech. Best bit of tech for 23. Tricky one, that, isn't it? Okay. SRAM T-type transmission. Yeah. I've actually got a bike without it, with the old axis and the new stuff. And I've been riding the new T-type since it launched. I did a video on the launch of it. It's super cool to like go to the factory and the head office in Germany and learn a bit about the design of it. And I was riding that for quite some time, and I thought, the more I was riding it, I kept thinking, is it actually that different from the old one? And I then got on my Kenevo that doesn't have UDH, but it has the older axis. Yeah. And it is massively different in the shifting. It's so much smoother. You can shift under power. The ergonomics of the controller are much better. So it is a real generational leap forward. Yeah. The old one was good, but the new one is noticeably better. And I think that, for anyone that's ridden it for a length of time, when you get on the older system, you can immediately tell the difference of it. It's annoying that, isn't it? When you get these new tech updates that you maybe don't necessarily, it doesn't make a huge difference, but it's not until you go back and try the old one that you realise just how much better it is. It's a bit like a phone, isn't it? You'll get used to the way yours works, and then you'll go to one a few years ago and you'll be like, oh,
It's a little bit laggy.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that.
Yeah, I get that when I use Jen's phone every once in a while. Oh. It's only an iPhone. I think it's iPhone 13. It's only about 2 years old. And now this might be a hard one for you to answer, so feel free to swerve it. Best brand in the bike industry of 2023.
Okay. Best brand. I really admire what Poly do. I think that they have such a unique product, a real point of difference. Brave, I think. So I'm going to say Poly.
Yeah.
I think what they've done has been absolutely outstanding. They've been brave to produce bikes that are different to the norm. They're pushing the industry forward, I think. They came out with a 190 travel e-bike with a Bosch motor that they're CNC machining in Europe, assembling it in Europe and selling it and shipping them all over the world. And I visited them. I was lucky enough to go over earlier this year and see the process, meet Leo, the founder. And I think what they're doing is fantastic. From the design to the environmental kind of ethos that they have. And I just think that there's something about that company that I really admire.
The Cybertruck of the bike industry, maybe.
Yeah, totally. It's it definitely polarizes opinion when you look at the bike, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that it's not a cookie cutter e-bike that looks the same as 95% of the market. They're thinking differently, and some people love it, some people hate it, and that's good.
Yeah. My next question was about Crestline, which is good because we've already covered that. So
you can ask it again.
No, it's all good. We've basically covered every bit of it. I want to ask you, and I know that you've got a compressor just over there. What are your top tips on tubeless and tyre insert fitting? Because I find tyre inserts in particular the biggest pain in the world.
Right, number one tip. This is literally brand new yesterday because I snapped one.
Okay.
But I've been using this for about 18 months. It's called a bead dropper.
It's
called a bead dropper. It's basically the gnarliest tyre lever in the world. And this has been a game changer. It's so good that it basically will put any tyre on a rim. But I had a real struggle with a Big Betty and a some tyre and rim combos just don't play well together.
Yeah.
That defeated it, but I still managed to use the snap version to get it on. But this Cushcore bead dropper, it's like, I don't know, 17 quid. But if you're changing tyres quite a lot, get one of those.
Just hold that up to the camera. Other way around.
That way. Yeah. It's kind of butt pluggy. Yeah, just make sure you open it the right way.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but it's brilliant. So that and a compressor.
Yeah.
Or one of those air shot things if you don't have a compressor. It makes tyre changes like seamless, 60-second job, maybe a bit longer. But if you've got a regular just crappy pump and a small plastic tyre lever, it's really annoyingly hard. But the compressor, that Hyundai compressor, I think it is, it was on one of those Amazon, they do these deal of the day things.
Yeah.
And it was only 80 quid.
Right.
A good track pump can cost, I don't know, 30, 40 quid.
Yeah.
So
worth having.
it is worth having. And the other thing is it's got like a trigger spray on it. So you can just blast your bike and dry your bike with it as well. So not just a compressor.
I heard somebody say before about preserving the life of an e-bike motor. It makes sense after you clean them that if you have a compressor, you just blast the water off the surface, and that should help. There might be an argument to make that you're blasting the water into terminals.
Do you know what? Someone did message me when I did a video and I used the compressor to do something, and they said, just be careful with what you're blasting it at. But I think as long as you're not an idiot with it, it's better to get the water off than leave it there.
Yeah.
Sometimes, have you ever put your bike away wet and you go back 3 weeks later and it's still...
It's worrying that.
It's still wet.
Yeah. And then we wonder why certain motor manufacturers chuck out unreliable motors.
Yeah.
Maybe you're the problem.
I think the problem is, like, living in the UK, it's just wet. I don't know how many days of the year. It's very often raining.
Yeah, it is today.
Yeah, it is today. So, yeah, unless you kind of leave your bike indoors, it's going to be wet for quite a lot of the winter.
So next, let's move on to EMTB gifts. Obviously, it is Christmas Day today, so it might be a little bit late for that. But I might release
next Christmas.
Next Christmas, I might release some of these as a reel, so in advance. So
yeah.
these might go out in advance to give some people some ideas. So let's go for best bike gift under £20/dollars. Go for it.
Okay, well, I already mentioned the Cushcore, and I think that is under 20. That's really good, and it's quite an unusual thing. And yeah, I think anyone that receives that will be thankful.
Yeah, and you had one other, didn't you, as well as that?
PE's, obviously. PE's Link Lube is really decent. I've been using PE's for like 18 months now, and I use it on all the bikes. I use the PE's grease. This all-weather Link Lube is really decent.
Can you hold that one up to the camera just to make it easy for me to edit it? Yeah, great. Did it focus? It did. Yeah.
That's really decent stuff, and that's under 20 quid, available at most bike shops or online. And yeah, PE's are just a really decent company. They make some good stuff, and none of it is just rebadged stuff from other factories. They design it all themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all kind of unique stuff, and all the packaging's really decent. It comes in cardboard packaging, and yeah, they're just a decent team of people.
So my one was for under £20. Just a small amount of suspension oil plus cable ties, because my way, I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but my way of keeping suspension feeling silky smooth is just to stick a cable tie down the side of the seal, pour a little bit of suspension oil in, and just go move it around, and they feel like new.
Yeah, totally. That you can do that burp thing as well, can't you? If you've got forks that haven't got the air bleeder valves on. Yeah, that is a good tip.
Next, best EMTB gift under £100.
Decent set of tyres, which you can just get under 100 quid. Yeah. Specialised.
You're a big fan of them,
yeah,
aren't you?
I've got no branded affiliations with anybody other than PTs and just recently Okua wheels. So I buy all my stuff, and people just honestly, I think people assume I get it all for free. I do get some stuff to test, which is awesome, but I buy Specialised tyres because they're really good. They're a really decent price. They're 50 quid. I sound like a proper salesman.
Yeah, here we go.
They're 50 quid, but they regularly do discounts. And honestly, they are as good as Assegai Max Grip rubber. They're really good. And they do a Hillbilly and Cannibal. And they're the only two tyres you need, really, if you ride in enduro e-bikes.
I was worried that doing this gifts under a certain price, it's a bit like asking a politician how much is a pint of milk, just because I worried how much you actually pay for yourself. But there we go. Plenty of things you pay for yourself.
Yeah, I do get discounts on stuff as well, just being in the trade, like a bike shop would, I guess. But yeah, it's I like to try stuff as well. I like to see stuff and you think, oh, that looks decent. I'll give that a go. So
best gift under £500. We've got a big budget.
How many categories are we going through?
This is the last one.
Okay. A decent winter riding outfit.
Yes.
So I recently got the Endura MT500, and that's an all-in-one, and you can go out and get as muddy as you like, and just someone can you can get yourself hosed down or just do it yourself, and it's you'll clean again. And that's made a big difference because winter is harsh, isn't it, to ride in? So if you can just make it as comfortable as possible, something like that I think is really good. Or decent jacket and trousers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a really good difference. If you can go out and stay warm and dry, you can have a much better time out on your bike.
I forgot to do my gift under £100, which for me is a bike cleaning kit with brushes, degreaser, etc. I love to receive that every Christmas because that's usually when I've got to the point where I've run out completely of every last drop. I'm now I'm using washing up liquid now. Clean bikes.
Doesn't your bike like disintegrate and fall to bits? So if you
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not there now when you go home.
Be gone. And my gift for under £500 is a set of Hope V4s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They are so good.
Because I currently don't own any, and just if anybody's listening, my girlfriend's just over there.
I'll send you the link if you want, Jen. They're really good. They are just so powerful, but it's also a safety feature as well.
Yes.
You need to slow down quickly.
Tell my mum that.
Yeah, it's not just about performance and looks and having some bling for your bike. They are a critical safety feature.
I absolutely agree, mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. 2024 predictions.
Yeah.
Now, lightweight bikes, I've said here, are creeping up on the full fat equivalents in terms of power outputs and range. Are we going to see more of that into 2024?
Yeah, I think they'll find their place. I think that as long as lightweight bikes can stay under 20 kilos and full fats like 23, 24, then they're the kind of categories. But I think that I always need to rethink lightweight e-bikes when I'm riding them, and I can be quite quick to kind of say, oh, it's not powerful enough, or the battery goes too quickly. But actually, if you change your way of thinking about lightweights for them to be like a pedal bike plus kind of thing, or regular bike with just a little bit more rather than a low powered e-bike, then I think that's the best way of looking at them. So a lightweight e-bike, if it can be between like 17 and 19, then that's brilliant. And I just think we'll see more of those from all the brands. Like there's some great motor systems out, Fazua, TQ, even Bafang. I've just got a little Bafang motor that looks super cool. So
tiny.
Yeah.
And 85 Newton meters, did you say?
I think that one's 75. 75 Newton meters, which it's incredible. We'll see how long the battery lasts.
That Rottwild that's come out as well, that's got the small battery, but you can still have it as a full power motor. I really like the idea of that because, like, for the sort of riding that I do, particularly just quick blast on the local hill, that's the perfect setup.
Yeah, they do that, and also Giant have got it with their lightweight bike as well. You can unleash the full 85 Newton meters. Which is great if you just want to go out and, like, it's like a party mode, isn't it? Just like whack it up to 85 Newton meters. You might only get an hour's worth of riding, but who cares? It's long enough for a lot of the times that you go out and ride a bike.
It's perfect. Reliability is another thing. Do you think we'll see any steps forward in motor reliability this year?
Yeah.
Or should I say, do you think we'll see steps forward from the manufacturers in knocking out bikes that are more reliable?
Yeah, I think they're learning every year, aren't they? With every iteration of bike. I think that some of it comes down to the motor manufacturers, and some of it comes down to how the brands actually implement it on the bike.
Yeah.
So if Bosch release a motor, they'll give some guidelines to the bike brands for things like water ingress and heat management and a few other bits and pieces, and then it's down to the brands to go and actually do it. But yeah, I mean, from what I've been reading online, I think it seems like they're getting better. Definitely not perfect, but I think stuff is getting more reliable.
Will we see a new decoy from YT in 2024? That's a direct question, isn't it?
I mean, they're getting the most out of that bike, aren't they?
Yeah.
It is a decent bike still, but it does need some updates. I did a video, I think, earlier this year on it, and like the Geo on it's pretty good, but they do need, they need to bring out a new frame at least. Like the XL version, the seat tube is so tall that it just got in the way. So will they bring one out? I don't know. Maybe there's some new colorways they can bring out in the meantime, and I don't know. They should do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go with yes. We're going to see one.
Okay. We're going to come back to this at the end of 2024, by the way,
right.
and we'll see whether you're right with these predictions. Are we likely to see anything new from Specialized, or do they? I mean, they keep knocking out new products at the moment. Do you think we'll see more new products in 2024?
Yeah, I do. I think that just looking back at their history of releasing stuff, so I don't have any like insider knowledge, but I think that they bought out the original Levo, then the Gen 3 Levo 2020. Was it 2020?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it was a COVID year.
That was the SL, I think. Anyway, yeah, I think they did bring it out a bit later. Anyway, it's been out for a few seasons now, and stuff changes so quick.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with yes. They're going to bring something out this year, full power.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you know what? Whatever they bring out is no doubt going to be, every time they bring out a new e-bike system, a new platform, it raises a bar again, doesn't it? They're always on the like cusp of innovation, I find. So,
yeah.
And they do things really well. Like the integration of everything is super sweet, and they're masters at bringing out a product that's seamless.
Especially their launch videos; those are tip top, aren't
Oh
they?
yeah, they're amazing.
If anybody gets a reference there, I'll put it in the comments. Electronic suspension. Are we going to see more integration of electronic suspension into e-bikes? 2024.
Yeah, for sure. Do we need it? Is I guess another question, but. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at the point where I get annoyed when the battery on the axis derailleur runs out.
Yeah.
And that's one battery. And then if you have one in the dropper, and then if you've got extra stuff on the suspension, it just becomes more hassle than it's worth for me.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be good to see stuff that's like really well integrated. And look, on an e-bike, you've got a massive battery. Like this is the SRAM battery.
Let's feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot to pedal up a trail, isn't it? And then fly back down the other side.
But you've got that massive battery, then you have another 8 batteries on the bike for all the different like electronics. So if we can just power everything from that one battery, brilliant. So what have we got at the moment? We've got flight attendant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Fox Live Valve,
Yep.
which we've not really seen many e-bikes with flight attendant on.
Okay.
And the Fox Live Valve, I've actually got the giant bike that's got it on, but I think it does need some improvements in how it works and how it all integrates with the bike.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come. Now we are moving on to quickfire questions, Christmas edition.
You got some Christmas jingles you can put over it.
Okay, well, you just give me some extra work there. Christmas jingle coming right in. On that note, best Christmas song.
Oh, it's got to be Fairy Tale of New York, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a cracker, isn't it? I actually quite like a more modern one, Kelly Clarkson's one, Underneath the Christmas Tree.
Oh.
Yeah. Get that one on the way home.
I can't even imagine how that goes.
Not going to sing it. Standout childhood Christmas present.
Bike.
A bike?
Yeah, a bike. I must have been about 11, and I remember every weekend going and looking at it through the shop window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a green, I remember it had 6 gears, and the brand was a UK brand called ML. Don't know if you remember.
No.
I think it was EMMELLE.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
Not a Halford special.
Nah, I don't think, no, that was probably too expensive.
Yeah. I got my first proper mountain bike was a Saracen full suspension thing from Halfords, and it was heavy. I mean, I realized very quickly that I bought the wrong bike.
At least you had full suspension.
It
Mine
was
like didn't even have a fork.
I went from riding a road bike and doing sort of building my own jumps on, I think it's my mum's road bike, hand me down. That's what and she realized very quickly, I need to get this kid a mountain bike because he's going to hurt himself pretty quick. Favorite Christmas movie?
Probably Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's kind of Christmassy, isn't it? And it is a classic. Yeah. I'm sure it's on every Christmas day. That's a banger.
Die Hard is a Christmas film.
Is it?
What was the closest you ever came to dying?
I went to Brazil once, and we stayed in a hotel just near the Copacabana beach. And when you get to Brazil, you get the coach and they say to you how dangerous Brazil is. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll be safe. And did a few days there and went to a few bars. And one night got really drunk and ended up on the beach at Copacabana at like 3 a.m. in the morning in pitch black, and just kind of had a flashback to them saying, whatever you do, don't go to the beach. Anyway, got held at knife point by some gangsters, and like knives put to body, and like told we're going to be taken away and all that stuff, and had to hand over wallets and phones and everything that we had on us at that time. So I don't know how close I was to dying retrospectively looking back, but it felt like, that was a life or death situation right there.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like the week after we got back, a coach of tourists unfortunately got like attacked at gunpoint. So
Whoa.
yeah, I'm sure this was a long time ago. So don't know if it's changed, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah, sounds it. Coconuts are Christmassy.
Are they? Maybe a bounty in one of those selection boxes.
I remember at the Christmas play, like school play, and if you were the donkey, then you had to clop together the coconuts. Anyway,
that is a very loose
tangent.
Yeah, but it's a very loose description of how coconuts are close to Christmas.
The lead into my question: choose one person from the bike industry to be stranded on a desert island with.
Do I just have that one person, or do we have bikes as well?
You've got one person, and you've got bugger all to do for a year. We're going to go for a year. You've just got to live together.
Who's good at like outdoorsy things? Like who's the Ray Mears of the bicycle world?
Yeah, who is resourceful like that? I'd say Doddy.
Yeah, he's pretty decent, isn't he?
Yeah, Doddy's
He'd
good at
definitely be able to craft up some, even if it was like some kind of workbench that we could use to.
Dan Atherton.
Yeah,
Dan Atherton.
Any of the Athertons would probably be pretty useful out there. So we'll go with Doddy or the Athertons.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's a valid answer. What have you tried for the first time this year?
I tried some vegan food and it was disgusting.
Okay.
It was called seitan. Have you ever had that?
Yes.
Seitan?
You didn't like it?
No, it was disgusting.
I think it depends how it's prepared. Yeah, it can be good.
Jen's looking over like, what? It's delicious.
We've actually struggled to buy it anyway.
Have you?
Yeah.
My wife really likes it. So she was like, oh, I've made you, I can't remember what it was, like some kind of stir-fry dish. And it was really weird. I just had a very strange texture and strange taste.
Yes. Have you tried kefir? Because that was going to be my answer.
No.
So kefir is fermented milk usually, but it can also be fermented coconuts as well, back on the coconut theme.
The coconut stuff sounds much more appealing than fermented milk.
Yes, it is. But apparently it's good for your gut bugs, so I'm told. So
it's like a natural Yakult.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we should get Jen in to get the full lowdown on that, get the health coach in. Best part of a Christmas dinner?
Roast potatoes.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. I can agree with that.
Do you eat meat? Do you like turkey and
I
stuff?
do. I just eat less meat.
Yeah.
But yeah. What would be your alternative to turkey?
Do you know you can get any of those kind of like roast things now, can't you? Every supermarket sells like a vegetarian version of something.
Yeah.
They're all a bit crap, to be honest with you. But I'm all in for the potatoes.
Yes. It's all about potatoes. And then the worst part of a Christmas dinner, what would you want to leave off your plate?
Brussels sprouts.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of that greenery.
Okay. That's tricky for a veggie to leave off the greenery.
But they're not nice, are they?
No.
Do you like Brussels sprouts?
I've warmed to them. I've gradually forced myself to
tolerate them.
I tolerate them. It's a bit like
you don't eat them and you're like, that's really nice.
Do you know what? For me, it's a bit like olives. Nobody likes olives when they first eat them, but gradually, if you just sort of.
But with olives, you can get loads of different types. So you can get them stuffed with chilies, and like Brussels sprouts are just always the same.
I think again,
Brussels sprout you had 20 years ago is the same as one you have today.
I think again, it depends what you put them with, how you make them, marinate them. I don't know. I'm not the chef.
If anyone's marinating Brussels sprouts,
I think you put them in the pan, put a bit of honey over them, chuck some nuts in with them of various kinds.
Okay,
could be edible.
Oh, you've been doing some research on these.
Well, Christmas is coming.
Or it's today.
Christmas Day or New Year's Eve? What's the better day?
Christmas Day.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm 43. It's definitely Christmas Day.
Are you the kind that falls asleep at 10:30 on New Year's Eve?
Yeah. Not probably. I'll give it till like 12:05 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty done. But 20 years ago, it would have been New Year's Eve.
Put Jules Holland on to sort of hoot at you for about 5 minutes.
Watch the fireworks. Yeah. Bit of Jules Holland.
Yeah. And then your New Year's resolution.
Don't actually have one, to be honest with you.
No.
But the classic, get more fit. I'd like to stay fit, like really fit all year round,
Yes.
because I'm pretty good in the summer as riding increases. And then by kind of September, October, I just end up not getting out as much.
Yep.
So I'd love to be, because I've been doing some Zwift stuff, like on the road bike just over there. And I really enjoy it, like getting into it and doing a routine. But then I just go through phases where I just stop, and then you almost like reset and get back to like level 1 again. So yeah, it's probably similar to most people's. Stay fit, like proper bike fit all year long, and more time in the gym doing weights.
Along those lines, I would like to spend more time on a lightweight e-bike. I think I've still got that opinion of the Gen 1 lightweight e-bikes where they're not for me. So I'd like to spend some more time on the latest generation of lightweight bikes, just to make sure that I'm still a full fat e-bike diehard fan. But let's just stick on that. For you, is it still full fat e-bikes? Yeah,
definitely. I just like the place where I'm riding a lot is in the southwest, Triscombe. There's a 1,000 foot climb to the top, and just for time, and I can get as many downs as possible in a short space of time, and you just can't achieve that on a lightweight bike. But I think with lightweights, it is a different mindset. It's a pedal bike with more assistance to be able to travel a little bit further, ride a little bit faster, and still, like the TQ Mondraker that I've got just over there, what is it, like 1.5 to 2 kilos just heavier than their regular pedal version. So that's nothing. It's like one of those and a backpack.
Yes,
that's all it weighs more. So they feel so different to ride compared to a full fat. So yeah, I mean, riding that, you're going to stay like pretty fit if you're riding a full power, and you can get some lightweight e-bike rides in as well.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be good. And then let's just talk about next year for you. What have you got in plan? What have you got planned so far? And have you thought that far ahead yet?
Yeah, I'm starting to plan in some content for 2024. And the cool thing is, like this year, a lot of the brands have been in touch already to plan in stuff for 24. So I think previously it was a bit more last minute, but now it's cool to be involved with some of that stuff. But I want to start. One of the big things that's really difficult with an e-bike is traveling, right? Because you can't fly with a battery for obvious reasons, and it's really difficult to get to a location and get a battery, hire a battery. So I want to find a location that I can like buy some batteries and ship them to, and use that for testing bikes.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a couple of bookings to Finale Ligura early part of the year. One in January, one in February, and one in like early May. And I'm gonna find a hub there that I can actually like get batteries to. And to fly, it's only like 2 hours and then an hour on the train, so it's actually not too bad to get to.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to ride, to go on a bike holiday, and to ride some of the world's best enduro trails. So I want to do more of that because it's just a little bit different. And then some of the shows like Eurobike that was so good this year. So I'd like to do that again. And there's a couple of cool bike shows that I've never been to, like Riva. I'd like to do that. Verbier, that actually you and I met up there last year. That
was brilliant.
Yeah, really good. And again, great riding, great locations. And you just get to see some of the stuff that you don't get in the UK. Like some of the bike brands that don't trade in the UK, Simplon and some of the other European brands. So I want to do more of those. In fact, I will be doing more of those. So yeah, some good stuff to look forward to. And I think personally, just having something booked in is a real motivator for me. So if I've got a trip booked in February, it's probably going to be still fairly cold and maybe crappy weather. But if I can get to Finale in February, it's probably going to be a little bit warmer. It might be raining, but yeah, it's just something to look forward to. So
we went to Madeira one Christmas a couple of years ago, and it was such a good winter riding location. It's interesting what you say though about transporting batteries. I mean, maybe there's somebody already doing it over there, but it would be great to just have a battery rental place where you could just ship your bike over there, sans battery, and then just go and rent one for the week.
There's not, as far as I know,
Really?
because I contacted Madeira and they I think they had a couple of batteries, but they were more like, I don't know, personal bikes that they could get hold of. So there wasn't like an official battery rental thing, but you can easily fly with an e-bike without a battery in it, because it just becomes a regular bike.
Yeah.
So you can just put it in an Evoc bag, and I think it's 65 quid to pay extra baggage to carry on.
Yeah.
And then if you could get to a location that was a proper official Bosch or Specialized or SRAM center, that the battery's ready, it's charged, put it in your bike and away you go, then that'd be great. Because on EMTB forums, there's many people in the same situation that want to travel and want to go and experience these amazing places, but it's a real barrier, isn't it?
It is,
to travel.
Yeah, it's a real difficult aspect of being an e-biker. And I mean, for us, we usually drive in the van over to the Alps in the summer, and then that's a way in which you can do it. But then inevitably, if we're going to the Alps, we just take the regular mountain bikes and we just use the lift system. So
you asked me about like plans for next year. What are your plans? And you've been doing some podcasts with some pretty interesting guests. I saw Doddy and Chris Smith, like, who have been in the industry for like ages, which is awesome to see. And you got some really good insights there. So what have you got planned for your channel next year? And is it mainly podcasts, or are you going to be doing e-bike stuff as well?
Yeah, I'd like to do a combination of the two. So I'd love to make some more feature videos just about bikes and about my experience on different bikes, like I already said about the lightweight e-bikes. And what would be a dream for me is to have brands actually ask me to come and make a podcast, to ask perhaps a designer or somebody that's involved with the production of a bike, to really get into the nitty gritty, sort of to just find out about bikes, the things that you wouldn't normally know, that you'd have to sort of go and delve into the depths of forums to actually start to find that stuff out. I'd love to just go and meet more interesting people. I'd love to go abroad and meet people in the bike industry that perhaps are racers for the EWS, or even some of the bigger brands that are perhaps based over in America. That would be incredible to go and speak to people over there. I mean, it's lofty ambitions, but you've got to aim high, right?
Yeah, massively. You got it. And yeah, it can be tough, but the industry is quite small, that I think all of that's totally achievable. Just going back to your thing around bike design, it is interesting, because when sometimes you'll be at a bike launch and you'll look at a bike and you think, why have they done that? And then they'll give you a really rational, decent explanation as to why that decision has been made. And you're like, oh yeah, I get that. So it is really enlightening to see, like, behind the scenes why things have been done in certain ways.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever a bike show happens and then all the content starts to flow out of it, I love just getting all that little techie, even if they're just the short sort of 1 minute reels of just like what you do actually, just to show how something works. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I've seen products that come straight out of bike shows. You see them literally the day the show opens. And it's sort of like eye-opening. Like, this is what the industry has been developing, and now finally it's here. And if we can delve a bit deeper into that and get some more insights, I think that's for me. That for me is where this channel perhaps can set itself apart from channels like yourselves. But yeah, as well as that, I'd love to do a bit more bike review stuff, and if anything, just showcasing bikes, just to give another opinion on it, really. So that hopefully will be 2024 for me.
Nice. And you actually have loads of experience in the industry, but people might not know, because you did loads of work with Play Sports Network, GMBN, EMBN. You did stuff for GCN Plus as well.
Yeah.
Like, are there any standout productions that you did, or any things that were like really memorable?
Yeah, I mean, GCN Plus is quite a hot topic right now, because it's soon to be the end of the channel. The one that really stands out was the first ever video that was recorded for GCN Plus, which I inadvertently was working on. I didn't even know that it was going to be a long form video, and that was when we filmed from Paris to Lyon. Hank and Mark Beaumont, who previously cycled around the world, they rode 100-year-old bikes from Paris to Lyon, recreating the first ever Tour de France as one of the stages. And it was the most incredible thing to shoot. We did it straight through. There was no cheating. We slept in the car, and just myself and Tom, we filmed it together, and it was just like a whirlwind. The guys just never stopped moving. The weather was unbelievable. The sun would not stop shining, and and nights was so short as well. By the time we filmed sunset, we'd then gone and found somewhere to park up. We fell asleep in the car. It's like a Golf, I think, rental car. And then all of a sudden the alarm was set for us to wake up. We were like, shit, the sun's coming up. Just like that. And we basically missed sunrise. We drove and drove and drove to catch up with them. There was wildlife all over the roads, and it was it was quite a wild experience. And then to finally arrive in Lyon, the guys had achieved what they set out to achieve, and we went straight to the airport. We went into an airport hotel, did a bunch of piece-to-camera interviews just to add to it, and flew home. And that was it. And it was just the come down after a shoot like that. It's quite a hard thing to get your head around.
The service has it shut down now? GCN Plus? Or is it still? I can't remember the specifics.
I'm not entirely sure. It's on its way, and it may be the content that was there may end up on Discovery Plus.
That was my next question. I'm sure the content is going to end up somewhere. So
I hope
if someone
so.
wants to watch that original one that you did, it's still going to exist somewhere, right?
I hope so. And actually, there are like that one, for example, the Paris to Lyon. You can actually find a short form version of it. I think it's still 25 minutes long on YouTube. So there are other ways you can watch that content. I'm hoping that more of it's going to be on Discovery Plus, and as obviously the racing is going to be moving to Discovery Plus. So if you want to watch downhill racing next year, or the EWSE, then I think that's Discovery where you're going to find it, I believe.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it's definitely it's moved, hasn't it? It's still there, but you just have to find a different service from it. Yeah. And finally, you talked about testing bikes and featuring bikes. I think you are based in one of the most amazing places in the UK to do that. You're near Snowdonia, right?
Yes, yeah, we're right on the edge of Snowdonia. And you come up and visit every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, once a year.
Yeah, you just do like literally arrive at 4 a.m. straight up Snowdon, straight back down again, have lunch, go home.
Yeah. But it's doable.
It is.
You can do it in a day, but what an amazing place for mountain biking.
Yeah, it's awesome. We have such a range of riding, whether it's bridleways and big mountain rides that you want to do over a long distance. You can go bike packing, you can do that style of riding, or you can hammer down very steep tech in the woods. And we have some of the best steep riding, in my opinion, in the UK. And then as well as that, we've got the big mountain stuff. So a lot of it's a little bit controversial in terms of where you can ride. Many people choose to ride bikes in Snowdonia where you perhaps shouldn't. There's laws that may be changing around that over time. I think, unfortunately, during COVID, that put a stop to any plans that were being made to adopt perhaps the Scottish laws on rights to roam, things like that. But we still have amazing tracks like Snowdon. Snowdon's a great example of a place that you can ride an e-bike and just have a hell of a good day out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, the views that you get at the top of... was it? You got Llanberis?
Llanberis Path. Yeah, it's the best one to go up.
The sunrise up there is as good as anything else in the world, really, isn't it? It's outstanding.
It is. It's just a shame that there's so many people now know that.
Yeah.
So that is the problem.
Yeah, it's like one of those Instagram versus reality things, isn't it? I actually remember when we did the shoot up there, and I was like, "Oh, we'll go up at 4," and we did. We left at 4, got to the top, and it was just starting to get a little bit light, when the sun's just about to start. We got right to the top, and there was like 50 people up there.
Yeah,
I was like, we're going to be the only ones there, yes. And it was packed. But yeah,
we also should be calling it Ywydfa because all the Welsh place names have reverted to their original Welsh name.
Okay.
So
Ywydfa. Okay.
So yeah, and then Snowdonia as well. Eryri National Park. Snowdonia is a great place, and it's an amazing place for making content. So I'm hoping that will be to my benefit over the next year. Ironically, though, we want to try and spend a little bit of time in the French Alps, so that will hopefully be another place where I can get an opportunity to.
Right, you've got some epic riding locations wherever you are, then, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. Well, thanks, Rob. firstly, I'd like to say Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year.
Cheers, same to you.
And also to the viewers as well. Thank you very much for watching so far. The channel is young, but Rob's channel is doing unbelievably well. Thank you for watching his channel. I'm sure that you can say thanks yourself in that instance.
Yeah, thanks for watching the channel. And subscribe to EMTB podcast.
Just forced you to do that, didn't
Basically.
I? Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. And we'll catch up again in the new year.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Cheers.